Hello, everybody, and welcome to What Do You Say Anime? I'm your host, Peter. And on today's episode, along with my co host, Pat, we will be discussing the first part of the winter 2021 review. Pat, thank you for joining me today. How's it going? How's your anime binging been going?
Good. Yeah. I'm finally back into anime again, which is good. I took a little bit of a break, but then I just binged like 30 or 40 episodes within the past 24 hours. So I'm feeling great. Well, I'm not feeling great, but you know what I mean. Like I'm feeling great. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, as great as anyone can feel after doing such a feat. But I'm excited to talk about this banger of a season. This season was really really fun.
I thought personally it was one of the best seasons of all time. And then for people who are wondering, we will be discussing 8 to 9 shows today. If you are looking for a specific show, in the descriptions below, we'll have the timestamps, and we will be talking spoilers. So if you do not want to hear about a specific show, please either skip it, mute it. You know the types of shows like that. Um, we will also be doing. We're having some special episodes this week. We will be doing the Violet Evergarden movie tomorrow. Me and Pat will be
Let's
reviewing the movie.
go.
Look forward to that. And then we will also be doing our own Wonder Egg episode. Let me post up my shirt real quick. I'm wearing my Wonder Egg shirt. You can't see it,
Oh, what a
Pat, but
beautiful shirt.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. So we'll be doing a Wonder Egg only discussion slash review type of thing about the show because I think if any show has ever this is one of the only shows that's ever like caught me off guard by a show that was really under the radar. It just blew me away. So really looking forward to talking about that. But on today's episode, we'll also be talking about some shows in that regard, but for the opposite reason. And I think let's start off by one of the most controversial animes we had this season, and that is The Promised Neverland season 2. Um, if you are not aware of The Promised Neverland season 2, it took the world by storm in the bad way. Where season 1 we had an absolute masterpiece of a show that emphasized the horror without showing the gore, the characters, the world building, and everything like that. And season 2, in my opinion, kind of flushed everything down the toilet by pressing the fast forward button. So, Pat, I want to get your initial thoughts on The Promised Neverland season 2.
Yeah. Like Pete, I thought the first season was incredible. I was blown away by it. I could not wait for this season to come out. And I thought it started pretty strong. Because I didn't know where they were gonna take it. I was cautious going into the season because now that the mystery and the initial draw of the first season is gone because
Yep.
they're out in the wild now. That like I was worried where the show would go, but I remember sitting, during my little hiatus and just hearing, "Oh, The Promised Neverland. People are mad about it. People are mad." People every week it was just people are mad at the anime or think that it sucks. And I'm looking at Mal right now, and it's crazy to me that this show is a 6.02. Like it went. I mean, what's the first season? What is it?
Like an
I have
8.4
let me
something, I
see.
think.
Yeah, it's an 8.64
Yeah,
to go
very
down to a
high.
6.02. That is insane for a show to drop that much.
I wonder if like season over season, if that's like the biggest drop in like Mal history. I feel
It's
like it
gotta be
has
up
to
there.
be.
It's gotta be up there because, like, generally speaking, even if a show gets worse, it gets a higher rating because only the people who liked the
Yep,
first season watch it and so on.
true.
I and apparently I am in the minority in just in general with my opinion on The Promised Neverland season 2 because I actually really enjoyed it a lot. And so take my opinion with a grain of salt because my understanding, at least, again, please in the comments, we want to talk about this one the most too because I want to hear other people's opinions on this. The manga readers are the people who are most upset by the way that that this season went because it skipped a couple arcs, I believe. That's my understanding, at
Skipped
least, of it.
Goldie Pond, and I think they just like skipped. Well, they skipped. I mean, the ending skipped a whole bunch of arcs because you essentially saw what could have been a third season in a PowerPoint presentation.
Correct. Yeah, so it skipped a lot of things to wrap the show up in the second season, uh, which made manga readers very upset. And to be fair, lots of anime only fans too that were like, "Well, why didn't we get this adapted? Why didn't we get to see the full thing?" My interpretation of that is that they didn't have the budget, or they were told going into the season, "Hey, you have to wrap up the show this season. You're not getting a third season. We're not going to pay for it, whatever." So they said, "All right, well, let's tell the story and let's have it be complete." So they picked what arcs that they could choose to skip. But again, as someone who doesn't know what was missed or doesn't know what wasn't adapted, I genuinely do think that this show was really well done. I thought the animation looked good. I liked the fact that well, Emma was awesome. Emma was strong, a very strong female protagonist, and she was very she had a lot of conviction in her decision making in this season. And I again, I don't know. I thought the morally gray that they kept playing with as well, that between the demons and the humans both having this relationship where, yeah, well, demons are just eating humans to survive, right? In
Yep.
the same way that humans are eating those fish or other thing, like it's not like they, well, at least in some cases, it's not like they choose to eat humans. That's because they literally have to survive.
Yep.
They have no other choice. Like I liked that that the that Emma, but then Emma, sorry, doesn't want to kill the demons, or she doesn't want to eradicate them like everyone else does, because she thinks that they can coexist. And I really really liked how they approached that, and how they actually even eventually came up with a solution for that as well, or to some extent a solution. It's not a full thing, but I don't, again, I just, the entire time I was watching, which of course maybe it's because I went in expecting to hate it because of what everyone else was saying. I was just smiling the whole time and being like, "Man, like, what didn't people like about this?" Like what was people's big problem with the show? I don't know. What were some of your biggest problems, at least?
So yeah, so
Go ahead.
just for reference, me and Pat are both anime onlys for The Promised Neverland. And my biggest issue with the show was essentially the pacing. So the biggest thing that they wanted to get to in season 2 was like the secret layer. They got to it and then they left. And I feel like that happened like really fast. Like we didn't get a lot of time to
Yeah.
develop that situation as well. And then just how the story also concluded with wrapping everything up in like a PowerPoint presentation, I thought was kind of I understand that what they were trying to do is like we're probably not getting like they're not getting a third season. Like let's be real.
Mhm.
Let's show the people what like happens after the fact, which is nice, but it is bad in my eyes at least. I thought that was like really I wish they would just like rather just like let us if they're all give us like no season 3, give us like an anime only thing. Let us like give us like what I can just picture what could happen. Like you don't need to tell me. It's kind of like when we did Akudama Drive where you didn't like the ending and I did.
Yeah.
I would like an ending like that for me. I think would have been better, where it's just like leave it up to my interpretation of what's going to happen. But instead, they like give. It's like I don't know. It's just like would you rather have a taste or none of it? You want like a taste and not get it, or just never have it at all? And that's kind of what it felt like to me.
So I can comment on that because that's a good
Okay.
comparison. That's something I thought about too when I was like initially reacting to this. I was like, well, so my stance usually is that I hate open-ended endings or stuff like that, where they
Yep.
tease but they don't give you an answer. That's why I like this one though, because I thought they gave you a clear answer. I would have hated it. I would have hated this if they opened the door to the human world and fade to white. I would have fucking hated that. I would have despised it because I want an answer. So that's why I liked, even though this ending, like I do agree, by the way, I need to make my stance clear. I do think that this was rushed, and that they very clearly could have done more episodes, more arcs, but at the same time, it is very clear that they were not going to be able to. Like, they just didn't have the support or the popularity to warrant a third season. So I
Which is
think
crazy
that,
because I'm pretty sure it sells like really well in
yeah,
Japan. It sells really well in America. Like its
I
popularity, season 1 is probably close to a million members on Mal. 1.2 million members on Mal. So it's one of like I don't know 60 shows of all time in Mal that has over a million members, which is like really hard to do.
yeah, and there's
So
only
like
146,000 in the second season. That's kinda crazy to me. That's that
no,
how
that's
did
the
that start
users.
off?
Its members is at 562. It's at
Oh, it is?
562,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never, oh, yeah, duh, I see that right next to it, never mind. But yeah, so what I liked about that ending though is that it gives you hints. If, well, for the manga, to me at least, for it shows the manga readers, hey, we didn't just forget that these arcs exist, or that the journey that they go on in the manga, it still is there. But what I liked is it was showing these screenshots, right, of the kids living in the regular world, what their life was like there, while also showing what was the life like of Emma and Ray and Norman as they were is still in the wasteland or in the demon world, right? And it lets you take these screenshots and kind of fill in the blanks of your own stories with it rather than just making you come up with something entirely. It
Yeah,
gives you like a direction where you can see, oh, so what's his name is flying around with a little plane toy or running around with his friends. Oh, they must be growing up in this place, or oh, they're graduating from high school together. And, like you see them walking down the hallway with
yeah.
their classmates. Like
I see what
I
you're
like
saying.
that. That's where I was like, okay, I can enjoy what could have been, and I can put still, have my own fan fictions in my head or
Yep.
have my own like ideas, but it at least gives me enough to go on so that I'm not sitting there staring again. I'm gonna murder this show Okinawa
Well,
Drive if the 5-minute director's cut comes out and
yeah,
it
it is
doesn't
coming
it
out. Yeah.
doesn't if it doesn't resolve my issues, I'm going to be disappointed again and probably have to lower that show's score again.
No,
I might
no.
if it pisses me off that badly again, because again, it was so good up until that ending. I
I guess
again
what I would have rather seen is like I don't mind like the opening the door, them going through and then like showcasing, but like there's always the possibility that like another studio picks it up for like a third season. Like it doesn't have to be Cloverworks. And then also with like if you leave it like open ended, I shouldn't say like completely open ended, but like the showing them clips on like the train, but like not showing clips with like Emma and that like dragon thing. Apparently that's like an entire arc in the manga. Like, don't show us that. Make me want to go out and buy the manga. Like, I understand that sometimes it's like a cash grab for you to go buy the manga. Like, don't show me that. Show me like the some of the other stuff where I would want to go see more. But this actually like offset it. I don't want to see any more of this. Like, I'm done with the Promised Neverland unless it gets
I
like a Brotherhood situation like 10 years from now. Because I feel like this show has like the quality to get that Brotherhood treatment because this is such a unique shonen, kind of like what Full Metal Alchemist was, and it got the Brotherhood treatment, and so did like Hunter x Hunter. You see these unique shonens getting these remakes, and I feel like Promised Neverland is in that category, and so at least I'm banking on it. But I just had issues. I had issues with like Sanju in his like demeanor and how he handled the situation of like being the good guy but secretly being the bad guy, but at the end he was the good guy without really any explanation. I wish I had some more about that. The fact that we meet Norman in like episode 4, I really didn't get that like the buildup of thinking my friend is dead and then like 4 episodes later, like he's there. I don't know if you ever watched this is a callback for anybody who hasn't seen um Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in Dungeons season 3 where one of the character dies and literally the beginning of the next episode they are resurrected. There's no downtime in their person's death. That's kind of like how I felt with Norman, where it's just like we think he's gone. They're going on this adventure. I know, like in the story, like a year and a half has passed, but when you do it in 3 episodes, I kind of didn't feel that like prolong time has passed. It felt just
mhm,
way too rushed for me. And then to me, I thought the ending was just terrible. I hated the PowerPoint presentation. I wish they could have done it differently, set it up for a possible third season, even if there never was going to be one, and just leave it up to us. That's just my.
yeah,
How about we just get
I
your
guess
final takes and we'll do our ratings for
yeah,
it.
well, I was gonna say that's so funny that you mentioned, like, the brotherhood treatment, or whatever. I I am the complete opposite with this show where I am content. I am happy with the series. Like, like you said, you're done with with the series, you don't wanna read the manga, like, I don't either, but that's because I'm content with it. I'm very happy with how it ended in a sense where I'm like, "This felt like a complete story." Yeah, sure, there could have been some holes filled in, and it could have been extended and written longer, but I'm content with it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride. I liked the messages. It felt like it delivered on all of those um the themes it was going for of the again the morally gray demon versus human argument.
I
These
love that. I love
Mhm.
that in the show. Not
Right,
everything
that's
was
that was the
bad.
major theme though, right? Like I
Not
think that
everything was
that was
bad
the
in the
major theme.
show.
So that's why I liked it though, because it delivered on that major theme. So that's why
Yes.
again for me, well that I guess this is kind of my final thoughts anyways. I really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, because people talked it down so badly.
Yep.
Maybe that helped me a little bit, but even then, I don't think I would have changed that much about my opinion on this show. I definitely think the first season was better, and I definitely think it could have had a stronger ending if it was done in even if it was done like 15, 16 episodes instead of 12 or 11 actually is what it was done in.
Yeah.
Uh and that recap episode.
And a recap episode.
I'm glad I will say, I'm glad I didn't have to sit through 2 weeks because or, like, 2 weeks between an episode because of recap
Sure.
episode.
Yep.
So that maybe helped me too because I was able to binge most of the series at the same time, but, I think I'm pretty confident with my 8 out of 10 on this because I again
Wow.
yeah, no, I'm like I had the first season at a 9 because I thought it was really, really good. There were only I only had a few problems with the pacing in the first season, uh, that held me back from being a 10, but this show, again, I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
It was really, really solid to me, and I think an 8 out of 10 is a perfectly
Hey,
fair score
different
for it.
strokes for different folks, my man.
I
If
guess so, yeah, because 'cause you're gonna shit on it now.
maybe it's just because I loved season one. I gave season one a 10. It was like an anime of the year contender. It was in like my top, I don't know, 20 anime of all time. I loved the aspects of what The Promised Neverland did in terms of horror and like psychological without actually being like the what we see a lot of time in anime where it's like the gore if you want the horror type of thing.
Right.
And then they kind of to me it's just like I had these expectations of something similar to season 1. Even if it wasn't as good as season 1, I was hoping for just a little bit more. I thought it was really rushed, but not to like take away from everything. There were some really good things about it. I thought Norman was absolutely incredible in this season. His moral dilemma of wanting to like kill the people that did this to him, essentially, kind of, but like it was kind of like in the name of a demon is why he was like tortured and put in like this
Revenge,
prison.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you see like him having like internal struggles or like you see him crying when he's like burning the town. Like he didn't want to do this. He sees them for who they are and he hates that he's doing this, but he feels like he kind of has to do it. Really like that aspect of his character. Thought Norman was fantastic. Emma was always great. I've never had an issue with Emma. Ray kind of didn't really do much this season.
No, he didn't. He did
Um,
nothing, actually, now that I think about
he
it.
he
Wow, that's a
shot
good
he
point.
shot he shot like a kaiju looking thing in the eye with a bow and arrow. That's like the
Yeah,
highlight of his character I thought this season, which is okay because Ray to me was always the third wheel in their big three. He's the whatever. He's like the Bleach to the Dragon Ball or to the Naruto in One Piece or whatever. Like it's fine. He's there. He can come along. So, but it's not like he was a bad character. It's just like I never had like an attachment to him like I did with Emma and Ray. But
that's fair.
just like some of the unanswered questions, the ending, the rushingness, really brought it down for me. And just because I think I had such high standards for this show, it brought my score down a ton. So my final rating for The Promised Neverland season 4, or sorry, season 2 is a 4. Which on
That's
Mal is a
pretty
bad
good.
and I thought this was bad. Like I thought this was just a major letdown for what we had before.
I don't think we've ever been so far off in terms of a seasonal, at least, before. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially not a popular one like this too. Like, there are other times where we've been like, "Oh, I really like this show. Oh, I didn't," but it's never, like, been like, this was great," and then this was bad. I don't
yeah,
know, that's so interesting.
there's more to it. I'm not doing an episode by episode breakdown, but I thoroughly enjoyed I think like 2 episodes, and the rest of them I had issues with.
Yeah,
The fight when the town was burning down, love those episodes. It was incredible. Just I thought the beginning was super rushed and the ending was really bad. So I gave it a 4.
it's fair.
Let's
Completely
move on
fair.
to something maybe a little bit better that we might agree on, and that's the second
Nope.
part. I spoke too soon.
I guess well, based on what I'm guessing, I don't think we'll agree because
We'll see.
I'm in the minority again for this one, apparently.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so we have the second part of ReZero season 2 where we got to see the end of the trials. We got to see more of Amelia's backstory. We got to see more of who Echidna was, her relationship with Beatrice and Roswell, and just their whole dynamic, and essentially like what the sanctuary really was about. I think we're both going to agree on this situation, though. I think we both found this really confusing at
Oh,
a lot of parts. Not to say that it's a bad thing, because like obviously there are answers to the questions that we had. I just felt like it was maybe like portrayed in a way that was hard to understand for I feel like a decent amount of people. Pat, how about your initial thoughts on ReZero and yeah, what you thought about the
yeah.
second part?
Yeah, so the first part of like last year was really really good. I liked it a lot. I was kind of blown away by it. Like I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, especially by the end. The build up to the finale or the mid-season finale was fantastic. And I think that this season of ReZero started out very strong. The first couple episodes were interesting. I agree, though, very confusing. And again, maybe it was because I took a little bit of a hiatus, but when I came back in, the first 2 or 3 episodes that I watched, I had to rewind things like 3 times because I was just like, "Wait, what? Like, what is this? Why am I so confused? Why am I not understanding what's going on right now?" And that theme got a little bit better as we got into, like, Amelia's backstory and her trials, just the trials in general. I started to understand things and piece things together a little bit better. But then by the end of it, I still had a lot of questions that I was frustrated that I didn't fully grasp. Maybe again, it was because I wasn't paying enough attention or I not smart enough. I don't know. But there's a couple characters I didn't get them at all. Like I didn't understand like their significance in the story
Yeah.
or how they came to be, things along that nature. So but yeah, I guess my initial impression is just underwhelmed, honestly. Maybe I went in expecting too much because we have a couple of people on the server that really hype this show up and like gas it up, and I know Giga talks a lot about it. A lot of people love this show to death. I mean, 8.67 on Mal. That's
Yep.
top 50 in Mal. Like that's crazy. Um, for me to not feel that great about it, I'm kind of surprised. Again, it was, and again, when I say I don't feel great, I should say it isn't bad. It was good. I enjoyed watching it, but I just wasn't as enthralled with it as other people were. So I don't know. The one thing I will say, Amelia, definitely best girl now. I think it's well, best protagonist, I should say, girl, because she, I think, proved herself this second half of the season. I think she proved herself to be a worthy of the attention and love of Subaru. Like not that that's saying much, I guess, because it's Subaru,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. Like
Yep.
worthy of being a protagonist that you look up to or admire. Worthy of the admiration that Subaru has for her, right? I thought Echidna and Minerva, like the witches, were fascinating. I thought Amelia's mother or aunt, I guess technically, was great. I again, I there were so many strong parts of this series, but I feel or this season, but I feel like it was near the beginning, or near the beginning or the middle when it was really more focused on Amelia
Yep.
rather than what was actually happening in the present. When what like the stuff that was happening in the present, I was just so lost. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like what do you feel? Because I
Well,
feel like I've been talking a lot.
let me ask
Sorry.
you a quick. Did you watch the ReZero movie where it's like the backstory of Amelia by any
N
chance?
No, I did not actually watch the Snow movie, right?
Yeah.
That's no, I did not.
Because that kind of like there's kind of parts that tie into this season from that movie where I saw that movie before seeing season 2, so I had like
Mhm.
a better understanding of Amelia's background. And this also touched on Amelia's background where I felt like I kind of already knew what was happening because we've had access to this information, but like if you never saw
Right,
the movie, then this is like your first time to seeing her as like a child and in some cases a teenager. I think now she's like 16, but like as a teenager, I mean she's like 12 or something. Actually, isn't she like
right.
107? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Let me
weird.
say like her based off of her she like physically
Yeah,
looks like 12. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
I don't know
and her
how old
mental
Amelia
mental
is.
age too, like, like
Yeah.
maturity. That's the other thing about this show. Age is so confusing. I could ram off really ram, haha.
Ram off. According to Mal, she's
Ram
18, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I wasn't yeah, that was just a bad accidental pun, but I could literally say I could list off 5 questions right now that I have, literally just that are just popping into my mind as we're talking about the show, and I'm being refreshed on
Mhm.
all of the questions I had. How does age work in this fucking show? There's no coherence
Well,
to it.
she's like half elf, and elves are like always like
Yeah,
400 years old and stuff like
okay,
that.
okay, cool. But how does Roswell's age thing work? I don't get it. So he gets his soul passed down to different people? I don't get it.
Yeah, I think
Okay, I
so.
guess I guess, again, don't understand it. This is my biggest question.
Let's hear it.
Fucking who well, 2 of them actually. So here's 3.
Who's Ram?
Beatrice Beatrice,
Yeah,
yeah, who's Ram? Haha, or Rem, haha.
Ram.
Um,
Yeah, my bad.
yeah, well, yeah, who? Who? Yeah,
Who?
uh, there we go. We did it, guys. We play the applause, right? We did the who is
We
Rem
did it.
close.
We did
We
it.
did it. We made it, boys. Beatrice. So she's a spirit. She's a child. What? She's infinite age. She's immortal.
Ye-
What is she? What? I don't know.
Yeah, she's a spirit, right? I think. Isn't
I
she?
think.
Isn't she sort of like Puck? I think she's supposed to be kind of like Puck.
What happened to Puck? Wasn't he a bad guy at the beginning of the season when he
I
just
don't
abandoned
know.
Amelia?
There's
But now he's a good guy again? That's what no, there we go. That's another. That's 4. That wasn't even the one I was thinking of. 5, Ryuzu? Who the fuck is she? And what is she? Like, why are there so many clones of her? And why do they so they take turns being her, so they all have different memories and experiences within the see, but then there's this one specific one who's different from the rest, who wears the different coat from the rest of them.
yeah.
Who
So like what we're saying, what Pat's saying, and I also felt that way while I was watching it. I do believe that there are like straight up answers to these questions.
yeah, who
We
is
just don't
Hector?
we just don't know them. But I think the issue, like what Pat is presenting, is it's not that there are questions. I think it's just how these like questions in our mind are presented in the show make it confusing on purpose. And that is like the issue I have with the show. Not even saying that the show is bad. I just think how they present like these mysteries are a little confusing, especially when we're jumping into these trials over and over and over again. Because like Amelia in season 2, I think she ends up doing like the first trial like 4 times or something. Like,
Yeah, she fails it every time.
yeah, so
Yeah.
like there's a lot of times where like I didn't really know what trial she was on, what trial Subaru was on, if it even was a trial or if it was just like a flashback, I guess in some cases. Um
Who knows?
but like a lot of those things were like I like if some of them they have answers. That's why I'm like not knocking these like that's how, I'm not saying it's like bad, and I'm not gonna say like, well, I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm docking it a point. That's not the case.
Right.
It's just the presentation of the mystery I thought was confusing, and
And
if
there's
people
so many
like to go,
characters too. Oh
yeah,
my god.
if you like digging into Wikipedia's and finding these questions, more power to you. Like that's perfectly fine. Just in this certain instance, it wasn't my cup of tea. Echidna pun on purpose, but
Yeah,
like
oh, yeah. Mm.
but like to me, the story, at least in my opinion, I'm more focused on the characters than like the actual story themselves. I'm more focused. And I'm so happy we got like actual like progression from Subaru and Amelia, especially Subaru. He went from a simp to a cool dude, and from season 1 to season 2, and I think he continued that trend. Is he the best main character? No, but like he was I thought season 1 he was a bad main character, and season 2 I thought he was a good main character. So I'm really liking this progression through him. I thought season 1 hit the check marks better for me at least than this season, but I feel like we got some resolution to some of the questions I had. And overall, I had a pleasant experience with it. So, Pat, give me like your final thoughts on ReZero if you have anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, Echidna is fantastic. I love all the witches. All the witches are the coolest part of the witches are the coolest part of the show. To echo one more big point, how many freaking characters are there in this show? There's too many people. Like, I mean, when we look at the character list for the second season, it's insanely long, and it doesn't even have like half the characters on it. Um, that were mentioned this season, let alone the fact that then there's also this entire other rest of the cast. Like, remember the red-haired knight and the rest of the remember that she's part of this like royal selection? Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that is brought up right at the end, but like that's happening too. Like
Yeah,
there's
because
so
now
much.
we have because like
Oh
the trial's done, they're back at their mansion, and now we're essentially going to be like, I'm assuming meeting up with like the cast from season 1
yeah,
that we haven't seen in a long time. Which is, I understand they're on a journey. It's fine. It's just gonna be like a really weird transition when I'm assuming we're getting a third season, but like when we get to that part, it's just gonna be like, who is this character again? Type
yeah.
of thing.
3 years later too, like probably
Yeah,
because it's not gonna come right away. I don't know, like they introduced so many characters. Oh, like the Cornelius or whatever the guy was. The
he was
and
in
that's
what, one episode and then he was
Yeah,
gone.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like the bishops, but then there's archbishops, and then there's the witches themselves, but then there's the apostles or something. I don't know. There's so many things that I I want like a lore video. I want them to explain how the witches cult works. I want to understand it so that way I feel like I can piece together the interactions that these characters have. Like I don't want to sit here while I'm watching the show and then 10 years from now once season 7 is finally done and the show is finished, I don't want to be able to then sit there and go back to each episode and be like, "Oh, I get why this character interacted this way with this character." Like, I want to know maybe not, I don't have to know now,
Yep.
but I want to at least understand it rather than being, like, trapped along this, like, fucking pardon me, this mystery for so long. It is it I am just frustrated by how confusing it is. So I guess my final thoughts on this show in general, again, I did enjoy it. I need to stress that I did have a good time watching it. The mystery elements were fun. I really like them. Again, we keep talking about morally great characters. If you haven't noticed, that's one of my favorite things that you can do in anime or in media in general. Uh, Roswell was really fun, even when he was confused. I think he was better in the first half of the second season. I thought that was a more interesting time
I
for him,
agree.
but I still like him. Glad he's
Oh,
still part of the show. Echidna is just mm, perfect character. I love Echidna and all the witches. So my intrigue is still there for this show, but my patience for trying to understand what's going on is wearing thin. So I think I gave an 8 out of 10 to the first half of the season, but I think I'm going to give the second half a 7 out of 10. Where it's
uh,
just like, again, I enjoyed it, but I am frustrated. Yeah. Oh, what's her name? The villain, the bowel lady, whatever. She's just dead now. Like
dude,
what?
she got
What?
squished by a giant pig. That was,
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
hippo.
assuming,
Hippo.
a giant hippo. Yeah, which I
Like,
thought that fight was honestly fantastic. I
it
love
was a
that
good
fight.
fight. I liked their interactions too, like, it was fun, the 2 of them were going at
Yes.
it, and I was like, "This was really cool," and then she's just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm dead," or like, he just kills her, and then but wait, so who is and then the little girl that she or her, like, sister,
Yeah.
was she the lady that was in the freaking mansion at the end when Subaru was getting knighted? Like, was that her, or was that just another lolly girl with the same
Probably just another
pink,
lolly
purple hair?
girl.
Because, like, I'm just like,
Yeah, I
there's
don't
too many
remember
people.
what happened to the lolly sister girl. I don't remember
There's
what
so
happened to
many
her.
people that nothing happened to her. They didn't resolve it. Like, they just left it, which of course they probably will, but it's like,
Yeah.
God, there's so much going on. Like, it stresses me out. Like, I don't know, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, right on. You just before I give my rating, I just remembered the Roswell and Ram confession
That was
thing.
good. That was good. I like
I
that.
hated it.
You didn't like it?
I
Oh.
hated it. Roswell murdered her entire clan, and then she's just like, I still love you though. I'm just like, if somebody killed my parents, I would never love them ever. I would want to murder them the second I see them. That's just my two
Stockholm
cents on that situation.
Stockholm syndrome, bro.
Honestly, it might be,
surrounded you
but
completely.
like I really did not enjoy that aspect. But back to this. I really liked ReZero. I liked both parts. I really like the animation, the fights, the characters. Not a whole lot of bad things to say about it. I just thought it was confusing at some points. And that's like my biggest gripe. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just thought it was a little bit too much. And I couldn't give it like a 10, but I still think it's a fantastic show. And I'm giving it a 9. I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's completely fair. I think the confusing to me is where, like, because I like things that are mysterious and confusing to some extent, but when I am literally sitting there asking, like, 5 questions at the end of every episode, and they
Yeah.
usually aren't even the same question, that's where I'm just like, "Alright, this is getting a little bit too consistently frustrating," I
Sure.
guess, if that
No,
makes
I
sense.
agree. And if when it comes to like mystery and these type of shows, I'm always going to compare it to Perfect Blue. I thought Perfect Blue did the perfect amount.
Right.
Where we had like 3 questions, most of it was answered, and just the mystery was just all over the place, and it was crazy, and I loved it. This was just like, I don't know, it felt like somebody, like, dropped a dictionary in front of me and said, like, "Read it." I'm like, "Okay, I'll try my best," type of thing, and just, try to comprehend what was going on. I felt like I got most of it, but there's just still, like I just felt like it was a lot. I didn't think I needed 9 mysteries in the show. I think 4 would have sufficed type of thing. That's all I'm saying. It was good. Good show. I recommend
It is.
ReZero. I loved it. I loved it. Another
I
show.
would still recommend it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Another show that I love. Only I watched it is Jujutsu Kaisen. Normally battle shonen is like my least favorite genre. There are a select few that do it very well. And I think we are seeing the rise in these higher quality shonens that I can get behind. We had Demon Slayer 2 years ago, which I thought was fantastic. And we got Jujutsu Kaisen, which I thought is better than Demon Slayer. And it actually led me to changing my rating on Demon Slayer because I had gave Demon Slayer a 10, and I watched Jujutsu Kaisen. I was like, this is better than Demon Slayer, and so I had to change my rating. Kind of like we were talking about with ReZero. The show is focused on the characters, and the characters are amazing. We got like a real personality behind everybody, and with every character that I'll say every character that we care about gets the screen time that's needed. The supporting characters get their 10 minutes of fame, the main characters get the other 80% or whatever. I thought they
Mhm.
did a wonderful job. I think Yuji, the main character, really interesting because he's kind of not he's like super overpowered in a different way. He's not like Deku where he's given the most like the strongest power of all time. Actually, I lied. What am I saying? He absolutely is given the strongest power of all time. He just like can't control it because he's more of like a vessel for the strongest person in the world type of thing. He's not even the strongest person in the world, which I thought was a really interesting like dynamic to the story where the main character is super strong but he can't control it. Kind of like how Mob kind of has that situation going on in his brain too, where he's battling his literally inner demons. In this case, he's also battling his inner demons.
Mhm.
Really cool concept. Mappa knocked it out of the park in the animations. One of the best like fighting shows I've ever seen. Every fight was polished. Every fight had impact. Every fight had meaning. It wasn't just meaningless, dumb fighting. It was wonderful. Um, I'm gonna cut it short just because it's only me talking. If you're a fan of shonen, obviously you're already watching Jujutsu Kaisen. If you are kind of
Yeah.
like someone like me and Pat, where shonen isn't our go-to, absolutely recommend this. I loved it, especially if you like Demon Slayer. I know Pat liked Demon Slayer. You
I
will
did.
like Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm giving it a 9. I thought it was wonderful, and I'm really looking forward to the movie that we get. We're getting like the prequel movie
Uh,
down the road, so I'm looking forward to more Jujutsu Kaisen, seeing what happens, and yeah, 9 out of 10 for
if
Jujutsu Kaisen.
I could just throw some thoughts out there quick, I will say this show seemed to be popular with not only like we call them again affectionately shonen bros, or shonen
Meet
meatheads,
some
whatever.
meatheads, some
Meatheads,
shonen
yeah.
meatheads.
Not only those, but also like the higher class, the I watch Hunter x Hunter, like those
I
people
watch
who are
Hunter x
very
Hunter.
uh, that's
My phone
yeah, the
case is
people,
Hunter x
I
Hunter.
only watch Hunter x Hunter and like, the higher, the people that are like shonen people, but are like really like high class about it, or like, oh yeah, I didn't watch
And
Naruto. I
it's
didn't.
funny that you're breaking down like the class of shonen. Like,
Yeah,
are
it's
you a
true
Hunter x
though.
Hunter shonen bro? Are you a Dragon Ball Z shonen bro? Are you a
Yeah.
One Piece shonen bro? Yeah, it's funny. I love
But
it.
it's true though. It's
Oh,
totally
it
true. There are like a
absolutely is true.
divisions. There are divisions within the community. It's the same
The
way. Oh well, do you like soccer? Oh well, I like the real football. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like that same
Well,
same there.
the best part in your hierarchy is that like each one thinks that they're better than the other. Where
Exactly. Yep.
where realistically they're actually all on the bottom and they just don't realize it. But it's
Yeah,
really
because they're
funny.
shonen bros. It
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
of
Well,
course.
they. Yeah, of course. But
We're
I
just
will
kidding,
say
by
though,
the way. We just like trashing on Shonen Bros.
I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Uh,
We're kind
I
of kidding, kind of being serious.
I'm kidding, but well, some of my best friends are Shonen Bros, and I will say the baseball episode of this,
So
I
good.
watched. I didn't watch the full episode, but I watched enough clips that I probably watched most of the episode.
Yep.
The subtitles and stuff like the little fun fact blurb that they would give them, like it was the
Dude.
Little League World Series. So funny. The whole episode was funny. Nobara is a badass, like
Oh.
people joke and say she's like a useful Sakura, but like she's actually pretty cool. Like from
Dude,
what I saw.
I jokingly say it, but like I'd go to prison for her. Like I love Nobara. She is oh my
Yeah,
god, I loved her. Especially the last episode. She got to shine and she shined.
that's awesome to hear because again, I liked her a lot. I thought she was cool. Um,
Dude, the
it
run
does.
you just reminded me of the running joke between Yuji and Todo, the rival of the other school. That Todo thinks Yuji is like his legit brother and like his best friend, where they've met once, and the only
Mhm.
reason why Todo likes Yuji so much is that Yuji has the same taste in women, and that's how they become like best friends. And Yuji's like, I'm not best friends with you, and Todo's like, you are my brother.
That's pretty funny. But
Oh,
yeah, so
so
that's all I
good.
had to say. And I had to say as well that all like my actual like best friends of real life and stuff like that actually really liked the
Yeah.
show. And like I had like 4 or 5 different people in my life come up to me and say, "Oh, have you tried like Jujutsu Kaisen? Like it's really good. I'm liking it." And I'm like, "You watch anime?" You know, like, to a couple of those people, I was
This
like, "I
is
didn't know
this
they
is
watch
the
anime."
type of this is the type of show where like non-anime watchers will watch this show.
Yeah,
This is Demon Slayer level of
yeah,
like popularity in terms of like it's going to be on like Toonami and people will like probably accidentally watch it type of thing.
yeah,
And,
and then get
and
into it, yep.
yeah, I mean, and it's selling like hotcakes. Like I remember before before the first episode aired, Jujutsu Kaisen had 1 million in manga sold, and by episode 12 it had 20 million, and I
Yeah,
think
it
by
grew.
like this episode it's at like 35 to 40 million. So just thinking that this anime 40x your manga sales, like just insane. Like this is going to be us, like we are going to see Jujutsu Kaisen for 10 years. Like
Yeah, yep,
it i-
it
it is
definitely.
it is a staple in the anime community going forward. That, and I mean, well, Demon Slayer is over in terms of the manga where Jujutsu Kaisen's running, but like how the manga sold for Demon Slayer is like it's the staple for like if there is a next big three. I think it's like Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia.
Mm. I agree. Sorry, I just got distracted there. I hear, I hear my parents watching the UConn women's basketball game, and it sounds like
Ah, go Huskies, Paige
yeah,
Beckers,
go Huskies.
Minnesota.
Yeah, there you
Hopkins,
go.
Minnesota, baby. Let's go.
Fingers crossed. It sounds like it sounds like things are going well up there, so that's a good thing. But yeah, moving on to probably Doctor Stone next, right? I
We
think.
are doing Doctor Stone next. Doctor Stone: The
Here we
Stone
go.
Wars,
Oh, let's go, baby! I love it.
the sequel to the first season. Obviously, we got to see the resolution between Senku and Tsukasa in terms of their war. Lots of good things to say about Doctor Stone. I have a few gripes about the show itself, but before I get to mine, Pat, I would love to hear your first thoughts on Doctor Stone.
Oh man, this show was so fun. I so this is the show that I watched first to get myself going again on anime. You know, because again, took that hiatus and I was like, what's a good show to get me back into watching stuff or get, watch, that I can like put on and just know I'm going to enjoy. Dr. Stone was that show for me because it is so fun. Even with how absurd some of the things that they do in this show are and the science behind it. I don't care. I'm not here for the drama. Like I'm here for the science, bitch. Like it is so fun. And I loved that they made Tsukasa a redeemable character. I love that they made, yeah, because like him just being this meathead, that's no fun. That's not a fun villain. That's a boring villain, right? He actually had motivations, and I thought that that was really cool. The dialogue is always fun between the characters. I will say they do get very loud at times and very screamy and shouty. Very shonen-y for me. Like I think I use the analogy of it's like having, like, every character be Zenitsu from
Yeah,
Demon Slayer,
yeah.
like, which annoys me sometimes, but even then, I still loved this show. The science that they do was so cool to see, uh, like, come to life, and they did achieve their bloodless siege. I thought that was well, or almost bloodless siege. I thought that was really cool. But anyways, go ahead.
Well, I'm so glad that it is a bloodless siege because there's no way Sukasa's actually going to die.
Well, he
Um,
bled, though. He did bleed.
yeah,
That's
okay,
where
literal when I think of that, I meant like actual like people dying.
well, he did
Um,
die. He did
well,
he
okay,
died.
it's shown it. He's not dead. Let's be real. He's frozen. He'll come back to life after you figure out petrification and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Similar to Doctor Stone, and I made this analogy on Discord.
Fantastic analogy, by
This
the
is
way.
Shonen Magic School Bus. Like instead of like learning, we learn through like um I don't know, explosions and like insanely crazy techniques in creating cell phones and stuff like that, where what they are saying is technically true. Just how did they get to that is like insane. Like obviously that will never happen in real life that you can build like a cell phone in like I don't know what he did in like 3 days or something like that off of
Yeah.
nothing, even if you had the prior technology. But like that's the point of the show. The show is not like the show's supposed to have fun, and I had a bunch of fun with the show. But I just remember, I think it was like episode 7 where we had the tank. Brought my tank problem where um Tsukasa predicted that Senku would build this steam powered tank after building
Yeah.
like like his next. I forgot what he built first before that. It might have been like a gun, something with gunpowder, I think. But it's like, well,
Yeah.
he has gunpowder, so next, obviously, he's going to build like steam powered car. We better build traps. And I was just like, that's obviously like not the case at all. But like, I understand it's Doctor Stone. It's
It
whatever.
is.
Like,
Yeah.
the story doesn't really matter. We're just here to have fun. So that's just like one gripe with it. Like you said before, really loud at sometimes. I don't really like Gen as a character. Um, where he's the
Yeah.
one who did, like, the voice manipulation and stuff like that. I'm not a really
Oh,
big fan of
really?
him. Yeah, I'm not a really big fan of him, to be honest. Where
Wow.
someone like Kohaku, she could step on me all day. I love Kohaku. So,
Yeah.
Senku, very good main character as well. Doctor Stone, really fun. It's, like, confirmed that we're getting a 3rd season as well, so I'm looking forward to more. I would like to see another 24 episode show where obviously they just did this for the 1 arc, and I'd like to
Mhm.
see, Senku be, Christopher Columbus without the indigenous killing type
And
of
a
thing.
pirate. Yeah.
Yeah, just go explore the world, see what's happening in, like, Indonesia or something, or China, and get in some sea and start sailing. I think it'll be really fun.
Yeah, I thought they did a really, really good job of explaining, or of, like, building up to the next season. I thought that was so well done, like, they put all their pieces together, like, oh, as they're reviving people saying, "Oh, where did you see the light come from? What were you doing? What was happening?" They put all the pieces together, and it's like, "Oh, well, we're going south. Let's figure it out." Like, I thought that was, like, that's really, really cool. Like, they established what they were gonna do in the next season or in the next arc, where, unfortunately, I was just gonna be like, "Oh, well, now we're gonna have to read to find out." But no, we are getting another. I mean, they said to be continued on the anime itself, and apparently some reputable sources have said season 3 so far. So,
Val already added it to their database, so,
oh well,
like,
there you go.
there you
Let's
go.
go. There you go. That's more than enough for me to be content. Um, it did feel like Kohaku and Yuzuriha, the two, uh, probably the most important female protagonists in the show, felt like a little bit. Some of the times they were kind of just standing around and like doing what they were doing at a couple points in this series.
Yeah,
Like,
Kohaku really didn't get the limelight like she did in season 1.
no, but of course she did. That's maybe it's because it's not her story. Well, it wasn't her story. It was Senku versus
Tsukasa,
Sukasa, right?
yep,
Which I
absolutely.
was fine with. So, but I do still like their characters though. I thought they were fun. I love Gen. I think he's really really fun. Because it's cool to see like how a mentalist or a just basically just a magician is the best way to put it. Like how a magician could actually be really useful in uh in this situation or to a scientist. I don't know. I really like Gen a lot. I enjoyed his character. So yeah. I mean, I could see why you wouldn't like him though, or how he could be rub off as annoying. But yeah, I guess my final thoughts on the show and score would be that I can't wait for more. I this is it delivered on everything I wanted it to. Uh, which of course isn't to say that it isn't without flaws. It's not a perfect show, but I don't know. I could watch 10 seasons of this and be happy as long as the story stays like as fun as it is. So I gave this an 8 out of 10. I think it's a very solid 8. Again, it's not like some masterpiece or anything though. So
Yep,
that's where I'm kind of sitting in a very solid 8, which I think is what I gave the first season as well.
I feel ya. See, I gave season 1 a 9. I think this did a just as good job as season 1, where this is way more focused on the battle instead of, like, the actual story, I guess. We did get to see more of, like, Tsukasa's background and, like, why he's fighting and kind of, like, his redemption, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah, on par with season 1. For season 1, I gave, like, the first arc an 8 and the second arc a 10. I love the second arc of season 1. So that rounded out to a 9. I felt this was, like, on par with, like, the first arc of season 1. So I also gave it an 8.
Yeah, that's
Thoroughly
fair.
enjoyed Doctor Stone. And yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I want 10 seasons of Doctor Stone, but, like, hey, if we got 5 or 6 seasons of Doctor Stone, this would be great.
Yeah, that's a better
Make this
number.
like
Yeah.
Food Wars, and yeah, give me 5 seasons, and hopefully it doesn't crap the bed like Food Wars did, but had a really good time with Doctor Stone.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. Like maybe 5 seasons is
Yeah,
reasonable. But yeah, I want to see them explore the world. I want to see them start to rebuild society, make cities and
yeah.
stuff like that. Would be so
I
sick.
mean, their world building is literally our world. They can do whatever they want, go
Yeah.
somewhere, and then just incorporate that geography with whatever they want to do. Who knows? It's crazy. Time passed, things happen.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love it. But all
Uh,
right, sweet. So that's Dr. Stone's
Dr.
Stone
Stone.
Wars.
Yes. Next up, we're going to be doing both Cells at Work. So Cells at Work and Cells at Work Black. Let's start with the main, let's say Cells at Work. So in this instance, Season 1 was 12 episodes. This one was only 8.
Mm.
Um, from what I have seen online, that they have 3 episodes in the bag for regular Cells at Work, which they're either going to make it an ONA or a movie. So they probably have like one full arc left. Um, I guess to me, the big selling point for this one was like those bacteria. They were super cute. I love them. We got to learn more about like the healthy bacteria that went on throughout the body and like what healthy bacteria does. We got our old villain Cancer Cell back in the last 2 episodes, and I mean, and we got like platelets back. We got to see like the platelet mom. That
Yes.
was cute. She was kind of like this hard ass, but she actually like really cared about all of her little platelets, so that was fun. Um, I mean, we don't have to like go super in depth, but I guess let's give.
No.
What's your first? I guess your first and maybe final thoughts on the regular Cells at Work?
Oh god, I love this show so much, man. You can't like not smile while watching this show, right? Like that's why I look at it, at least. I think it for one, the opening, probably one of the best OPs of the season. I loved it. The whoa,
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 slow
whoa,
down.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
It was good, but
whoa,
we
whoa,
had some
whoa,
bangers
whoa.
this season.
I disagree actually. I didn't like a
Uh,
lot of openings this season, but we can
listen
get
to
into
B.
that.
Look at
That's fine.
listen to B stars, and you'll change your
I
mind.
don't care about that show, so
Well,
I
the
don't care
OP
about
is
the
amazing.
OP.
You should listen
I
to the
don't
OP.
care for an OP to have an effect on me. I usually have to care about the show, so
All
that's the
right, look
problem.
at everyone. Look at Pat. Look at Pat. Look at Pat.
That's just how I am, I'm sorry. But that's why I love this one because it's just so catchy. Like, every time it came out, I was just, like, sitting there smiling at my screen, snapping along, like, watching the colors, the pretty colors in the show. Oh, the show is so fun, man. I don't know how you can't at least, like, acknowledge like, there are people who hate this show, and I can't understand how you can hate it. Like, I can appreciate that you may not
Fools.
enjoy watching, like, a whole season of it, but, like, can you imagine just showing this to a class or using this to actually,
Oh
like, kind
yeah.
of learn
I
to at
wish I
least
had
be like
this in school.
have this as an introduction to science? Because obviously it's not gonna teach you every little detail, and it may not be perfect, but as an introduction and a way to get you interested in cells and the way your body works. I will never look at my body the same way after this show, and I guess maybe that's more so with Cells at Work
Yeah,
Black?
that's me too.
That's
The
yeah,
black
because the Cells at
definitely.
Work Black, it maybe changes me even worse, but with this show, smiled the whole time. I love my fucking blood waifus and everything. Like, it's so funny. I can't rant enough about this show. So again, I think I gave the first season a 7, and it's probably gonna be the same with this because yeah, I love it, but it's nothing like I don't know, world changing. It's not like a telling some profound story. But honestly, I like it makes you feel things for what should be these little tiny cells in your body. It makes you feel like emotional about
Yeah.
like, you go like this, and it's like, "Oh, shit, I just killed, like, 1,000 cells, like,
Yeah.
1,000 little cells on my arm by going like, scratching it, like, I feel bad now, or I think twice about it." Like, I don't know, what do you think about the
Nah, I'm
original?
in the same boat. Nothing really changed like year over year or season over season for this. It just seems like a reoccurring thing. The only like I actually not really new, but like we got like our old rival, our old villain back from the cancer cell from season one.
I liked that a lot too, bringing him back because cancer comes back,
Yeah, it
like, that's
does.
how it is, that I
Yeah.
really did like that, that was a cool choice.
Yeah, but the show's really fun. I love Cells at Work. Nothing like really bad to say about it. It's just it's just if you haven't seen season one, it's the same thing. Or it's the same thing as season two. It's just fun thing. I gave it a 7 as well. It was fun. Yeah, I had a good time. But I did have more fun with Cells at Work Black, which we'll talk about now. I love the adult themes that they talked about. I love the erectile dysfunction episode. I like gut laughed at some of the scenes. We got a
Yep,
brand new top tier waifu in the white blood cell. Holy
yep.
wow.
Oh, wow, wow,
Yeah,
wow,
I
wow.
love her design. I absolutely love her design. Yeah, I really was more resonated. I mean, since they both aired the same day, like essentially back to back, it was a little bit of an overload, and I definitely leaned more towards watching Black before watching the original first. So I guess Pat, what are your thoughts on Cells at Work Black?
Uh Yeah, so like I said with the first one, this it sells at work. Black made me like I'm drinking a beer right now, so my
Oh,
cells
what are
are
you
getting
doing?
all my cells are getting high in the liver or whatever. I don't Because clearly I didn't pay enough attention in
Liver
class. Or
Chan,
pay
you're hurting Liver Chan. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
apparently, this show though, it makes you think about all the bad decisions you make in your life, like
This one,
health-wise. This one,
absolutely, especially with like alcohol and not working out and
yup,
a lot of other
eating
things.
poorly, like doing
Eating
drugs,
poorly, not
smoking.
sleeping,
Well, not that
smoking.
I don't smoke, but like seeing
I do
like
if
the
I'm drinking.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. I guess I've done it when I'm drinking too, but
Yeah.
that's like but that's the whole point of the show
That's
though,
the
is
whole point of the show.
the platelets being going from the first show where they're these adorable, cute little girls, they're like, let's work, yeah, 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 like we're all happy, like yay, 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 to these fucking the first scene with them in this show, it's get the fuck out of my way,
Yeah,
old
moody
man, like
teenagers.
the moody
Yeah.
teenagers that are just pissed off that they're working. Everyone is so pissed off and anxious and tired and stressed, and that showing the effect of stress on your body. And I think that it is so good. I loved the show again. So I guess again, final thoughts though. I I just love this show. It's so fun. I can't wait to see if we get more. I hope we do because I will love to see what they do in their the spoiler, right? The new body, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
what
there's
the
they set it up for a second season.
we'll see if we get it or not. I'm not sure if we will or not, but
I
I
bet we
would love
will.
it.
It does really well in Japan.
Does it? Because
Yeah.
that's the big thing. I can't wait then because I want more of it. And
It also got a third spin-off manga.
really, a
Yeah,
third one
a
now.
third
Damn,
one.
that's
It
good.
focuses on the killer T cells, I think.
I would
Yeah.
enjoy that. They're fun characters. So I'd say probably again though 7 out of 10 for me on this because again it's nothing profound, but I really do enjoy it. Probably about as much as the original. I think like as much as I enjoy it, not and I say I'll say this word very lightly. I enjoy the edginess of this series, and it's not that they're just edgy for the sake of being edgy. It's like they're literally just showing how brutal and
Yeah.
like visceral your body can be with how like bad like how bad things can be, and also just how yeah, cells in your body kill each other all the time and eat each other in front of each other all the time, and that's just what life is inside your body.
Oh,
Like,
that reminds me of what Miles wants in Cells Work Black. I forgot what is it like mitosis or something? It's wherever we're like
no,
essentially
that's
what's the thing called where like white blood cells essentially like suicide themselves and explode. Whatever
um,
that is, that's what Miles wants covered in Cells
yeah,
Work
no,
Black.
mitosis is the splitting of cells.
Splitting, yeah.
Like
It's been a
it's like
while.
sex reproduction, but yeah, it's been a while
I
since
graduated
I've
high school 13 years ago. I don't remember biology.
yeah, no, I haven't taken biology since sophomore year of high school either, so that was probably almost 8 years now too.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's out of our pay grade,
Yep.
for sure, but yeah, so anyways, that I liked how edgy and, like, how dark it got, but it doesn't override how much fun the original Cells at Work was for me because it's just all cute and fun, so I think that it while also still having gore in it too, I think we glossed over that, like, what's fun about the original Cells at Work is that it still does have, like, blood and, like, killing of
Oh
cells.
yeah.
But they do it in such a cutesy way that it's just like, you don't even notice it. You don't even realize you're watching, like, this thing get sliced in half by a samurai sword or a katana, or whatever. Like, I don't know. I love this. I love the show, though. It's 7 out of 10. I like. It's just I could put this on and watch it every week if
Right
I have.
on. Yep. I felt that way with Black a little bit more than the original. I love the realness. Like you said, the edginess was like realness at the same time. So had a lot of fun. White blood cell. I've never wanted to be in a relationship with a white blood cell more than ever before. Just a lot of fun, especially some of the things that I deal with. We talked about earlier: the drinking, the smoking, the exercise. Hopefully, not in my case down the road, the erectile dysfunction, and hopefully not the heart attack. But overall, really fun. Had a great time with it. I thought it was a little bit better than the original. So I'm giving Cells at Work Black an 8 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with this show.
Fair enough. Oh yeah,
Ne-
I think 7-8 is a fair score for
yeah,
this range. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Next up is Jobless Reincarnation, a show that only I watched, and lots to say about this. I wish Miles actually watched it and we could discuss it in like in depth. The things that Jobless Reincarnation does well, does it incredible. The animation, especially the last fight scene in the last episode, is god tier. It was so good. How they are developing these characters are wonderful. I love the magic systems that they use. I love the power scaling. I love the adventure that they're going on and the conflicts that arise from it. But what I absolutely cannot stand about this show is the pedophile main character. I hate him. I When I saw Eris, I believe her name is Eris. I have to look up her first name. The redhead, yeah, Eris, the redhead girl, beat the living shit out of Rudy. I was like, she's immediately best girl. Like, I love Eris. She's like this super violent tsundere, but she's doing it for the right reason. So,
Yeah.
big fan of that. Anytime you beat up pedophiles, A plus, big fan. I understand the etchiness. I understand the fan service that you get in these styles of shows. It doesn't mean that it's not off-putting to me, and it was. And
Uh-huh.
it's off-putting to a lot of people. But that being said, it doesn't take away from the entire show. That's only bits and pieces of the show. What the show does, everything else is incredible. I even like little things like the languages between like the beast people and like the other, I forgot the other thing, but like essentially there's like 3 or 4 main languages and they like go in depth, and Rudy's trying to learn these languages to like interact with like these different creatures, which adds to the world building to it, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The magic system was great. Um and I liked at the end that they really essentially turned the etchiness, the perviness to almost zero. And when they did that, the show was like A plus. Like I wanted so much more of the show when it
That's
went away
interesting.
from that.
So it went down in the perviness and etchiness, yeah, by the end of the show. Like normally, I feel like that.
Well, that's because the conflict happened. It wasn't like this like training arc type of thing where like
Oh, okay.
real
Yeah.
conflict. They're on an adventure. They don't really have time to be pervs, or they don't have time for the fan service. Where before,
Right.
where he's kind of like teaching her, but like there's like one episode where like Eris is sleeping, and he like goes underneath her skirt and like tries to like look at her underwear. Like I don't. That doesn't add to anything in the story. Like that's literally just for that's like
Yeah.
to me that I understand what fan service is. Like I'm not dumb. That's just not the fan service I want in my style of shows. Where
Mhm.
like if you go to like a beach and there's a beach episode, obviously you're going to get fan service because guess what? That's what it's like in real life. Like I understand that style of fan service. I don't understand why I want to view a like 12-year-old girl's underwear. That's just not my thing. It's just not.
Especially when it's a 40-year-old person doing it.
41-year-old man. Like, yeah, he might be 10. He has the mind of a 41-year-old, and that's what matters.
To me.
I really hope people see that.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah,
if you don't mind me going quick,
go for it.
I was gonna sub in for Miles here, but you kinda already took care of the, "Hey, this is a 40-year-old guy basically trying to be getting away with being a pervert, and it's okay because he's a 10-year-old boy." Like, it's a redemption it's an apologist for lolicons, essentially, like, built into the show,
Yeah,
or
a little bit,
a little
yeah.
bit.
I mean,
My and
a lot of bits, let's be
A
real, but,
lot of
like
it. Yeah, that's not the whole show, so I was gonna sub in for Miles and just say that bit, so that way, you had someone else to talk or bounce off of in this. But then the other thing, while I was reading some reviews, I expected it's because again, this has like an 8.46 on
yeah, it's
Mal. That's really
super highly
high.
rated.
And then you go to the top 4 ratings, and you know how usually with popular controversial shows, there's a 10 rating that is seen as helpful by everybody. Then there's a couple, maybe there's like one or two ones or threes
Yep,
or like the scores of the top 4 ratings in terms of helpfulness are 3, 4, 1, and 1.
yep,
So, like, it's weird to see that, but then still see an 8.46 on Mal. That is crazy.
yep.
Like, I don't know.
I
And
get
every
mi
review is just like, "Oh, yeah, this guy is openly pedophilic and an apologist for pedophilia. Like, how is this so popular?" That's what every review is saying, and
Yeah,
it's like,
let's not forget that the main character dies in episode 1 because he got his ass beat by his family because he was watching child porn. Like, the dude is a pedophile. Like, it's confirmed in the first episode. I
yeah.
don't think they showed in the anime, but in the light novel, he is watching a video of like his cousin bathing or something like that, like his underage cousin bathing. And then his family comes in, sees that he skipped his dad's funeral,
After his
and they
funeral,
yeah,
yeah,
and they
or
beat the
that's
living shit out of him, and he gets hit by a truck. And you know what? I think in Miles' situation, if the show was one episode, there's a pedophile get the shits beat out of, and then he gets hit by a truck, and that's the end of the show. I think Miles would have given this a 10 out of 10, and it would have been his highest rated show of all time.
I would have given it a 10 out of 10 if that happened. Yeah, like like what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just to me like okay, so if the show had these elements and then the other elements to the show were like bad, I think I would have given this show like a 4. I think I would
mm,
have maybe even dropped this show if the other elements weren't as good as they were. So I do feel really bad saying like, yeah, the main character is a pedo, but there's a bunch of other good things about the show. But that's what it is, and
yep.
it does take away from the show because to me everything other than that I think the show is a 10 out of 10. I think it's incredible. Like what they do outside of that is some of the best I've ever seen in anime. It's just unfortunate that for some reason the main character has to be a pedophile and have all these like I don't know fan servicey scenes that I don't need or want because the best parts of the show are not those scenes. And I'm really hoping because we're getting like the studio behind this. Let me look it up real quick. Studio Bind was essentially created for this show, and it's already been confirmed that this is going to be a long running show. We're probably getting at least 3 seasons of this. And I know there are some romantic things that go on in this show. I'm just hoping it's later on in the show and we focus on what's really good. And that's just I'm crossing my fingers that's what happens. So just so we move on to the other shows, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. It's kind of hard to recommend, but it's still like the fantasy elements and the magic elements and all that stuff is really good. So it's hard to recommend, but like I'm giving it an 8. And before we get to our last show, I'm just gonna do a quick recap of a show that only I watch called The Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter, which is this is like a stereotypical shut your brain off, just go with it and have fun. I don't isn't let me see if it's labeled as a harem. It is labeled as a harem. Okay, I think before the season aired, it was not labeled as a harem, and it is 1000% a harem. Um, really stupid show, silly show about like a dude that only a dungeon only he can enter because he looks like a dude who died 200 years ago that like his sensei didn't teach and then he ended up dying so she has regrets from her past life and he looks like the dude from 200 years ago so she decides that hey, I'm going to teach him because I didn't teach this kid 200 years ago to be like an adventurer. Cool magic. He essentially gains mana, or he uses like his spells uses mana, and in order to get his mana back, he has to like touch boobs or make out with the girls or something like that. Yeah, yeah. It's pretty silly.
Sounds like my kind of show.
But like instead of
No,
like
I'm
them
kidding.
playing around it with like a lot of other shows do, they just go for it. So respect to that. It's nothing crazy. It's just like girls like grabbing his arm and then like putting his arm like in between her boobs, like that type of stuff. Like nothing like he's not like reaching up and grabbing their crotches or anything like that.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
kisses are like mostly like pecks and stuff like that. Nothing crazy. They make out like once or twice. It's whatever. Really silly show. Had some fun with it. I mean, obviously it's not a masterpiece. I don't really care if we get more type of show. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Battle has a 6 listed as fine. This was fine. This was perfectly fine. It's just whatever.
Sounds fair to me.
And last but not least, we have the juggernaut. That is the quintessential quintuplets season 2.
Ugh.
We Pat, we might differ on this one, which will be fine, and I think it'll be a fun one to end on. Harem, not my favorite genre. Not the biggest fan because most of the time harems don't do anything. They don't really go anywhere. Quince also doesn't really go anywhere, but it also kind of goes somewhere better than
No, it
like other shows.
doesn't.
Better than other shows. Let me finish. It does better than like Nisekoi. It does
Wow,
better
high
than the
bar you're setting there.
hey Nisekoi is like one of the highest rated or most watched harems on
I love
Mal.
Nisekoi,
We
so I
all
can't complain.
we use Mal as our like staple or whatever to like
Yeah.
base things off of. Um, yeah, I mean, I like Quints. Like for harems, this is one of my favorite harems. Pat, let me get your initial thoughts on Quints season 2.
Yeah, yeah, so, I don't know, again, it's just I liked the first season, but I really didn't expect it to get a second season after the first. Because I remember the first season, it ended with the wedding scene, and I was just like, "Oh,
I also
cool."
agree. I
So
didn't think we were gonna get it.
I did not see it coming, and then when it came, I was just like, "Oh, it's okay," and then I went my hiatus, and, like, I think this was the show I was least excited to get back into just because it's like, I know we're not getting any resolution yet. Like, there's no way that they're just gonna end the show. They said we're gonna get a 3rd season, and we're gonna have to watch that, and maybe we'll get an anime-only ending, maybe we won't. Like, there's so many
Yeah, a
questions
lot of
that
people
people.
don't like the manga ending.
Yeah, I don't, from what I've heard from it, because I of course, again, I haven't seen enough to be able to, like, say if who won was correct or whatever, but I I don't know, my best girl didn't win, so of course I'm angry, right? Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm in the same boat as you where harem shows are kinda just like, I want something to happen, and it's funny that you say that because you're a big slice of life guy, and so am
Love
I.
slice of life.
So am I, but, like, in harem shows, they frustrate me because like, even because, again, our favorite genre is romance shows, which usually, like,
Rom-coms
really,
all
like,
day, baby.
take things so slowly, right? And
Yep.
they're really dense, and they're dumb, and they don't say how they feel. Harems, like, take that problem that both you and I have with rom-coms and then just draw it out between multiple people. So in this case, 5 different women that are all very clearly interested in the main character,
Yep.
but that doesn't get any resolution. It gets built up to, but it doesn't get any resolution throughout
See, I
so many
kinda
seasons.
disagree because a lot of times the resolution for sure, but in this case, and a lot of times in these cases, a lot of times it's not even like a confession scene, or if it is a confession scene, it's like the last scene of the last episode, and we
Yeah,
don't know what happens.
I
At
hate
least,
that.
at least in this show, we got a confession scene. Like we got two and like a half confession scenes.
I guess, I don't know, again, they're all so dense, the fact that they don't already know that they.
Well, Nino's not dense. Nino, this is why Nino is best girl. It switched from Miku to Nino this year because she is
Mhm.
not dense and she goes for it. Mad respect to my girl Nino.
I I respect that as well, but it's not for me. I don't know, I just never. I still don't get the allure for her. I think she's good, but Miku is just, she's great,
Well,
like,
neither did I until this season, and now I'm
I don't
Nino
know.
gang, ride or die, baby.
No, I still team Miku, and I will stay that way until she suddenly denounces her interest in history and stops being fun. I don't know. I'll ever switch. I
I
don't think I
mean,
could ever switch.
if I had to, if I wanted like let's say a waifu situation where if I had to resonate with one of these girls, Miku is definitely my type compared to Nino.
Right.
However, I like strong women. Nino goes for it. She does not like she's like I love you right to his face. Like I love you, date me.
Mm,
And if anything it's stupid ass what's his name? uh
Futuro, yeah.
Futuro not wanting to get some and be like, "Oh, I'm an idiot," or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. Nino gang all day, baby. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know. Freaking, I don't know. This show. I think it's good. Good enough, I should say. I like it, but I don't know, man. Harems are just not my thing as much anymore.
I'm the same
Maybe I'm just
way,
old.
except for
Maybe I'm
Quint.
just too old. Maybe I'm just too old
Old
now
man
for
Pat over
harem.
here. You gotta be like an
I guess so.
eighteen-year-old cool kid like me. I'm definitely 18 and I'm definitely cool.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Like, it's
Oh
definitely
yeah.
better. Would I rather watch this than DXD or whatever? Then, like, yeah, obviously I'd rather watch this. I think there's more substance in this and it's more fun. But, like, I don't know. Would I rather watch this or an actual rom com? Like a normal rom com with at
Yep.
most two love interests? Probably I'd select the latter because
Yeah.
that's more my thing. So I don't know. I think 7 out of 10 once again. Uh,
Oh, that's higher than I thought you were gonna give it.
oh no, well, again, I don't hate it. It's just I don't know. I like it's like the most it's the same thing as the first season. It was like it was enjoyable at times. There were funny scenes and the waifus are cute. They're all like redeemable and fun in their own way.
Yep.
But I need something to happen. I don't want to sit through another 2 seasons of this and not have like resolution until where like I could have skipped this whole season I go on, let's on say on to the 3rd season, which would be, like, the final season,
Okay.
and I could watch that 3rd season, and I could still not have missed anything. Like, at least in terms of, like, maybe
S
understanding how the show resolves.
I disagree, but I know
I
what you're saying.
I think I well, yeah, maybe not. I shouldn't say I wouldn't miss anything, but I would be able to put the pieces together of the 3rd
Yes.
season.
Yes.
And this show, worse than any other show, probably because there's 5 of them and they're all sisters, does this one thing that harem shows
I
do that I hate.
okay.
It's gonna I don't know if you're gonna echo my point here.
It might.
When one person says something and then the other every then so the main character says something, and then every fucking girl has to have 2 seconds of screen time of her saying something back where it, like, pans from face to face to face to face of
Yeah,
them
okay.
all saying the same exact goddamn thing or all putting their own little twist on it. I hate how harems do that, like, that's not how conversations work. It's like conversations are usually between 2 people or maybe 3,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
when it's like guy 1 talks, girl 1, girl 2, girl 3, girl 5, guy 1, guy 2, girl 2,
Yeah,
like, it
yeah,
literally
yeah,
they
yeah,
do
yeah.
that over and over again, and it's just like this cyclical conversation. I'm just like, not every girl has to have their, like, moment in let alone this episode, in this arc, or in this fucking conversation. Like, it's so annoying. It's I
Yeah.
don't know. I that's one of my biggest complaints in harem animes in general, and this show is one of the worst offenders for it, by my opinion.
I guess the thing that I hated more than the conversation thing was, like, how Futaro couldn't tell, like, the difference between the girls where they all have, like, their own individual thing that clearly recognizes who they are. Even like,
Yeah.
Yotsuba always has the green thing in her hair. Itsuki always has, like, the stars in her thingamajig. Nino has, like, the butterfly ribbons in her hair. Like,
Mhm.
and, like, it's really easy to, like, distinguish who they are, and they made it in the anime where it seems like Futaro was, like, really confused on, like, who people were, and sometimes, like, it's obviously Nino, like, I don't know, I really didn't like that aspect. Maybe it's
Yeah.
different in manga where it's, like, black and white and stuff like that, but, like, in the anime, it was, like, super clear, like,
And they all
anybody
have
would
different hair colors. Every hair tone is different, which of
yeah,
course maybe that's not the case in like the real like again in the manga or maybe that's for us to help us
yeah, yeah, yeah,
distinguish
yeah,
them,
yeah.
right? But like well for one, 2 of them have short hair. Well, 3 of them now have short hair,
3 of them do,
right?
yep.
Or 3 of them now. Um but then also again, all of their hairs are like very different colors. So like I don't know, again, maybe it isn't the
Yeah, there's,
case for
like,
the
orange,
actual
pink,
people in the
red,
show.
brown, and whatever Nino is.
Yeah, like another shade of pink,
Yeah.
like darker pink, whatever. It doesn't make sense to me that like that they're so confusing. But even in the manga covers, when I'm looking at them now because they're on the Mal page, Miku's hair is like the color it is in the anime, and then Yotsuba's is very orange, like it is in the anime on the manga cover. So of course
Yep.
in black and white it's different, but it's clear that they were meant to have like different colors, or at least from our perception. I don't
Yeah,
know. Again,
absolutely, yeah.
we're
It's
talking a lot
it's meant
about
to have
this.
a distinction.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
Oh, 7
yeah.
out of 10 for me again.
7? Okay. I didn't think that we were going to get, like if we did get a confession scene, I thought it was gonna be 1. It was cool that we got, like, 2.5. I hated Miku's confession scene. It was so bad, she could have redeemed herself as best girl, and she, like, kinda, like, bullshitted it. That's why I'm saying 2.5 confession scenes, because she did technically say, like, "I love you" to Futaro, but it wasn't directed at him, and I really disliked that. But, however, I had a lot of fun with this. I like the progression with it. Not the biggest harem fan, but Quince is kind of like my like the one that I lean to if I'm watching a harem. I'm a big fan of Quince, so I'm giving it an 8. Had a lot of fun, and yeah, that's Quince for you, season 2. Looking forward to season 3 or whatever we get. It just says a sequel, whatever
Yeah.
that means.
Yeah, looking forward to
I'm
it, I
assuming
guess.
it's a third season. Well, that's gonna wrap up our first part of our winter review. If you missed something that you would like to hear us talk about, we're probably talking about it on the next one. And this one actually might just be a solo one because there'll be a lot of shows that only I watch. So we're gonna be doing like
Yeah,
Horimiya. Let's go through the list real quick. Horimiya, Slime, Redo of a Healer, Skate, B Stars, um, low tier character Tomaki, Tomazaki, Log Horizon, supposed kid from the Boonies, whatever that was
laid back
called.
camp.
Laid back camp, of course.
Let's
Nana
go.
Biyori.
Yep.
The heavy hitters are for next episode
Of
for
course.
sure. But yeah, so that's that. We're doing a podcast tomorrow. That's gonna be the Violet Evergarden movie. Heavy spoilers on that one. Looking forward to that. Doing a Wonder Egg episode. Looking forward to that. If you are interested in talking along with us, talking anime, talking TV, sports, pop culture, whatever, there's a link tree, this thing in our description, has all of our socials, including our Discord. And if you're on Twitter, if you followed us, that'd be great because that's where I am the most active in terms of the podcast. Other than that, Pat, thank you for joining me. It was a
Thanks for
pleasure.
having me.
Thank you for your insight, and we will see you tomorrow for the Violet Evergarden review, and then in a
Oh
week,
my god, I
and it
cannot wait!
oh,
Ah!
let's not forget in a week, Watch Club. Keep your hands up, eyes open. Going to be a
Yep.
great time. Thank you so much. We will see you next time.